welcome to Bingemas, a 12-part holiday special here on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jodi Walker, and we are on day 3 of binging this year's best original holiday offerings with all of your Ringer favorites. And today that means Christmas Above the Clouds, a movie that is once again about the tolls of capitalism, the inequitable burden of breaking through the glass ceiling, and the enduring lessons of A Christmas Carol. But more importantly, it takes place on a Christmas plane.
This episode of Ringer Dish is presented by State Farm. Just like settling on the perfect couch setup to catch up with your girls, State Farm has options to choose from to help you find coverage that best fits your needs. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
And to unpack this bounty of Charles Dickens, I simply had to turn to bestie of the pod and grind king of the Ringer as named by Forbes magazine, Rob Mahoney. Merry Bingemas, how are you?
Merry Bingemas, Jodi. I mean, I'm honored, obviously, to be the grind king. It's a title I never wanted, but now that I have it, it just kind of fits.
Forbes said it, and now everyone knows it. When you introduce yourself, people say, oh, the grind king of the Ringer? As named by Forbes magazine?
As they often do. But look, really, before we even get into this, I have to thank you.
Okay. I'm on the edge of my seat to see what you thought about this movie.
Well, our previous Bingemiss experience, I will say, was a little underwhelming. You and I did an animal-themed episode last year. The alpaca sweater subplots and all were interesting, but didn't necessarily grab me. Is this movie cinema? Is this just one of the greatest things I've ever seen? Because I had a delightful time with this movie.
Is this art? Is this an allegory? Did they think of the fact that they could name a female character, Ella Neezer, and it all went from there?
They fucking went off. Like, honestly, that part is so inspired. It justifies the existence of the whole thing.
It really is, most women in these movies are named Holly or Faith or Noelle. I haven't done the journalism to be positive that no one's ever done Ella Neezer, but it's kind of shocking it's taken this long and beautiful.
It was right there for anyone to take. And not only, look, we have all the kind of character analogs from A Christmas Carol. We'll get into it. This lead performance from Erin Krakow is pretty incredible. Like, is legitimately hilarious and moving. And I knew this movie had me when I was legitimately shaken up by the realization that Jake had experienced the presence of Ella Neezer's ghost in one of these visitations from the spirit. I'm like, what is wrong with me, or what is right about this movie?
I'm really glad to hear that, because I will have to tell you the moments at which my throat tightened and ultimately I did cry a little bit.
It gets you.
And it comes, it's the magic of Bingemas is always going to come for you. I'm glad that you brought up Erin Krakow, because I know that generally you're newer to these movies. I believe Christmas at the Alpaca Farm was one of your first, and you're welcome. Rob, I mean, I have felt a lot of pressure in terms of picking your movie this year as a returning Bingemas guest, because you got the last slot last year, and upcoming guests and listeners need to know that the movies will get more and more deranged in terms of plot as the season goes on. They sort of start with the middle, Hallmark and Netflix, etc. They sort of start with the middling ones. They usually kind of kick off with a banger. Then they go middle. Then they go high, right in like peak November, right before Thanksgiving, and then steep decline in late December. And you got a couple of late December guys last year.
It's true.
And you did a valiant, gorgeous job of breaking them down with me. This year, I wanted to give you a classic,
Thank you.
A real magic themed. I actually, though, had no idea what I was giving you, is the thing. I got into Christmas Above the Clouds, and, I read these descriptions, I don't know, a month ago as I'm planning out. I did not realize this was going to be a full take on A Christmas Carol.
I thought they'd do some light riffing, Clearly, this is a movie that is obsessed with puns in every possible respect. I knew what we were getting into from that regard, but they really stick with it. Like, it is a very faithful adaptation of A Christmas Carol that just happens to involve a girl boss on a red eye.
And thank goodness for the girl boss of it all. Although I wouldn't say we get into the real nuance of why she might have experienced such pressures to lean so hard into her job of
You're right.
Trip. I believe her company does trips.
In 2025, she has endeavored to start a travel agency. I mean, best of luck to you, frankly.
And like, we are probably on the cycle that at some point we're going to be making travel agencies for millennials, but it's really doesn't even seem to be a travel agency company. It's like, it's for trips. It does trips.
Which she has never been on, she tells us. Like, she has never traveled, but somehow she is the expert on travel.
Well, because she was so inspired by traveling, but then she got so bogged down in the capitalism of it all, I guess.
The provider mindset. It's hard when the guy you're trying to be with, I mean, let's be honest, just has no income to speak of.
And his job is charity. They said, we'll get to it, but when the ghost of Christmas Present took her to look at his current Christmas, the ghost of Christmas Present said something like, it's the fastest growing child-based charity of the last 5 years. I was like, who's crunching those numbers?
Incredible. Look, there's no universal authority for these things, so they could really say whatever they want. When they're just pulling out numbers saying like 50,000 kids in the tri-state area are part of this program, absolutely not. But also, I can't refute it.
No, I can't, because I don't work for charity, like the prince of a male lead in this movie. So no Vanessa Hudgens' star here, unfortunately. But we do have Erin Krakow, who you mentioned, great lead performance, who is kind of like the girl next door of Hallmark. So this was also sort of a unique role for her.
For sure.
Having to be mean. And we have Tyler Hynes, the bad boy of Hallmark, also in a slightly different role.
So what is he? He normally is like a gruffer, less approachable type than warm and cuddly and sweater bound here.
Yeah, he like dares to have a beard, but not in a lumberjack way, in like a motorcycle jacket way. So that makes him pretty different than a lot of the Hallmark leads. He also stars in this franchise series called The Three Wise Men about three brothers. And he's kind of like the bad boy brother. He's just always a little bit edgier.
I didn't know that one of the wise men was a bad boy. Like, is he the one with the myrrh? What's going on?
No, it's frankincense. He's frankincense, obviously. So this was a true Hallmark classic.
Yes.
In terms
I like that we're
pairings.
deep enough in this project now where it's like iterating on itself, right? These are actors who have been in the pipeline for like 10 or 15 years at this stage, as you said with Erin Krakow. Like, she's played the full gauntlet of not just like Hallmark heroines, but Christmas-specific Hallmark heroines, where she's been the teachers and the bakers and the women with daddy issues, and now like a full-on Scroogey CEO in what is frankly like the part of a lifetime.
Rob, the thrill that I got when this movie opened with a pair of stilettos stomping down a hall. And, sometimes it's like, I've been doing some variation of Bingemiss for years. And I'm like, do we actually still do the thing where someone goes home to restore a Victorian inn, or it's like an uptight, lady CEO who's got to meet a guy who brings her back down to earth? But we can still play all the classics. The movie opens on her big boss energy stomping down the hall, and they are literally acting like she's Miranda Priestley. All the extras are texting on their phone like, here comes Krampus, which is what we come to learn that they refer to her as.
It's a little rude, to be honest.
Oh, people hate her.
Straight up.
Throughout the movie, could not believe like the absolute derision with which people talk about Ella Neezer, Miss Neezer.
Yes. Well, to be fair, in their defense, keeping an office floor at 55 degrees is probably like a liability issue at a certain point.
Oh, let's talk about what she's doing in that office. We find her on Christmas Eve. The countdown to Christmas in this movie is a rapid pace. It doesn't even take place over 24 hours. It's like 18 hours. We find her on Christmas Eve in the office. And once she stomps down the hall into the boardroom, we find her assistant, Bobby, who is literally shivering, like, to show us that she's cold. And she says, "Hello, Miss Neezer."
Bobby Cratchit. I mean, come on. Like, how can you not love this shit?
At what point did you know that it was like full tilt Christmas Carol?
Oh, straight away.
Okay,
Like,
straight from Ella Neezer.
Well, we start getting like basically straight line reads from A Christmas Carol very quickly. And I will say, I have quite a complicated relationship with Mr. Charles Dickens. I've been on, I think, multiple Ringer podcasts at this point telling people that Charles Dickens actually sucks, which he does. Just like a miserable writer. I do not enjoy his work.
Okay.
The one exception is A Christmas Carol, which is a certified banger, unimpeachable. And I love basically every adaptation of it, including, I would say, Muppet Christmas Carol is the GOAT.
Yes.
And so, like, I'm already, like, my ears are ringing with very familiar lines and deliveries and little citations. And clearly they just, like, cannot get enough of the Charles Dickens references in this movie overall, including Get itself, Great Expectations, Travel.
Yes. And when the sisters say to each other, we've got one sister, Ella's older sister, who is not plagued by Christmas trauma. She's fine. And she calls and she says, but Ella, she says, Ella Neezer. She calls her by her full name. It's the best of times. And Ella says, it's the worst of times.
I mean,
and how was that for you as a pretty much Christmas Carol only Dickens fan?
That was tough. That was a bit of a groaner. But again, you can see what they're going for, and some of them worked better for me than others. Like, that worked less, but Oliver Twist on the plane who wants to be fed math problems, I actually found very charming.
That's insane, Rob. That kid, I would have thrown that kid outside of the emergency exit.
But for a movie device, I was laughing when he just pops up overseas like, do you have math problems for me?
And his name is Oliver. I know. It was everywhere you turned. And I do think that this movie for me fluctuated rapidly between groaning and like sheer delight.
Yes.
It was only one or the other.
I would say there's a couple other registers. One being the abject terror of some of the flashes into the future. And I have to say some like genuine emotionality in terms of some of the flashbacks. I am a sucker for any kind of montage that gives you the full building and dissolution of a relationship. And they really delivered.
Wow, Rob, I can't believe it's taken you this long to get to original holiday movies then, because do I have a genre for you?
Well, I mean, I take your point. Very valid. I would say this one, in the tradition of the greatest Christmas movies, what elevates this movie to me is it is hitting like the very bittersweet note that I think all the best Christmas movies have. Like, It's a Wonderful Life. Like, you can't have the like triumphant return home or the valuation of family or whatever it is without being lost in the darkness for a little bit. Like, you need the lemon zest to make the sugar cookie really work. And A Christmas Carol is great at that, but they really didn't pull the punches on what A Christmas Carol is, even though it is on a red eye.
Well, and because they did what Hallmark does, which is make Christmas about romantic love. And so to really infuse the Christmas Carol with romantic love makes the stakes even higher. When, of course, the original stakes are death.
Yeah. But
You're
now it's death and
die.
love.
And now it's death and love. You're going to lose the love of your life even more than you already have. And you're going to die if you don't stop making your employees work on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
They are literally in the office on Christmas Eve day, which I think is a national holiday. I'm not sure. She's got the office at 55 degrees. Yep. She's got them in the office when I really think technically they should be off.
Probably.
She's outright threatening to fire them in a way that doesn't totally feel HR friendly.
Absolutely. This company does not have HR. Let's be very frank about that.
And yet it is the most successful company in the world. Written about in Forbes magazine.
Repeatedly. Like, she is the talk of the town. Everyone knows who she is. And like, who are we to argue with her success? You know, I'm not here to tear a woman down.
Thank you, Rob. And that is why you are a professional man of We're Obsessed and Bingemas, Rob Mahoney. Because you're not here to tear a professional woman down. And they don't really ultimately do that, although most of her trials and trauma do come from her working too hard and being too focused on work. We know early on that she's a Scrooge, that she has some issue with Christmas. And because of this, she has intentionally planned to fly to Australia over Christmas so that she will leave on Christmas Eve, the 24th, and she will arrive on the 26th, completely missing Christmas.
Yeah. It's an ingenious plan if you hate Christmas. Just for a little fact check, though, there's like a throwaway line from Bobby Cratchit about how this is the longest flight in the world from New York to Sydney. Absolutely not. Like, he doesn't even register among the longest flights in the world. You could have just picked a different place. Like, why isn't it New York to Singapore? Like, why does it have to be New York to Sydney?
Oh, well, because these people don't travel. They've never taken a flight. So they don't know anything about what they're doing.
I'm just saying, if you're purporting to be a travel company, these are the details that matter.
Are they? Do they deal in flights? We really don't know what they do.
It's a great question. They show commercials in which the copy needs to be re-edited post-haste before New Year's, even though it's kind of I guess it is a post-Christmas themed commercial, because there's the terrible pun about you survived the Yuletide and now you need you-tide.
I thought it was like, and now you need your tide, which I, as you know, an occasional copywriter myself, thought was pretty good. But also as an occasional copywriter myself, and this is all credit to that job, which requires like a very specific and, like heightened level of talent.
Oh, yeah.
These folks are like, it's Christmas Eve. You're expecting us to work on Christmas Day. I'm like, you guys, you've been working on this for a while. You could probably go back to an old draft and kind of crank this out by the end of Christmas Eve day.
You're telling me you don't have 15 pretty good rejected ideas in the drawer? So, like, what have you been doing if this was the only one?
You sound just like Ella Neezer.
I just found myself really identifying with her perspective in this movie.
Rooting for the man at times during this movie because I did not think that those people were very talented or that they were working hard enough. But I did obviously really feel for Bobby, who is, I guess, Ella Neezer's assistant. I don't think she's as much like her mentee as we go on to learn that Ella had a mentor.
Yes.
It seems a little bit more of a like, you get my checks mixed at the airport relationship. But what we find out is that Bobby also has to fly to Australia with her. And that means that she is leaving behind her son, who has asthma, whose name is Tim.
Of course it is. This was my big question about this movie, is like, anyone who's familiar with A Christmas Carol knows at some point we're going to see the ghost of Christmas future in which Tiny Tim is straight up dead. We're going to get the empty chair at the table. Will this Hallmark movie have the jingle bells to kill this young child? And I'm happy to report that it did.
Oh, bells the size of snowballs. I mean, they were more than willing to like dramatically kill everyone off and really make her deal with the repercussions of her actions. Do we ever learn why she is directly affecting whether that child lives or dies? No, we do not.
Well, it's because his mom wasn't there for Christmas, obviously.
His mom wasn't there for Christmas. And it also seems like Ella's giving the company shitty insurance.
That is true. So again, this is how you know there's no HR apparatus whatsoever at this company. Like, she's basically raising Bobby's salary by the end to the bare minimum and offering benefits for the first time.
Yeah. She's like, oh, you can have more than catastrophic, I guess. Welcome to employment. Bobby is a really... sort of tragic figure. I do want to be really clear that her little tiny Tim is wearing a little cabbie cap for the entire film in case you weren't sure what the deal was.
They are so in their bag in this movie. It is unbelievable. Once I saw the little newsboy hat, I was like, come on. Like, you just could not be playing this more strongly or more directly to me.
And this very young little boy has clearly like been given the direction to be sickly. He's always like, Mommy, I asked Santa to bring you home for Christmas morning.
And he just gets sick every Christmas like clockwork. Like, I think the rest of the year he's probably fine. But come December 20th or so, just like cannot get up off the couch.
Oh, yeah. He starts running around. Like, eventually we see, I think that last Christmas, she was in the hospital with him all night, which she never tells Ella because Ella does not foster an environment where you could tell her such a thing. Is very clear. We go with Ella and Bobby to the airport to get on factually the longest flight in the world. And Ella hears a voice from about 40 miles away. She is hearing her ex-fiance, come to find out, Jake, a.k.a. Tyler Hynes, the bad boy of Hallmark, from so far away. And she turns around and they lock eyes and he's back.
Back in her life, back at the airport gate or food court or wherever they are. This was my moment of brief concern. I was like, am I feeling it between these two ultimately? I'm just getting to know Tyler. I'm not familiar with his work overall.
Sure, you don't have the canon to fall back on.
I don't. And I don't even have like the playing against type bad boy stuff in the back of my mind as far as like where this could possibly go. And this first scene, obviously intentionally, is like meant to be a little cold, a little longing. Like
he's heartbroken.
He's absolutely devastated by having his engagement terminated many Christmases ago. It would hurt any of us. I'm happy to report that in time, I think these two like have some pretty legit chemistry.
Oh, there were some steamy kisses.
Straight up.
I believe that Tyler Hynes, the bad boy of Hallmark, has written into his contract that he gets more than the one regularly contracted kiss.
Yes.
They got many moments of warmth and romance, and part of that is because they have several meet cutes. We see them meeting here, but then we also go back in time and see them meeting for real. Skipping ahead a bit, that was where I had a moment where I was like, can everyone pull this off? Because what these actors are asked to do is sort of go back and act, I guess, about 12 years younger than they are.
Is it
I was
that
a little
much?
unclear on the math.
Yeah, look, the timeline does not quite add up, but it is grad school, so it's not like they're playing 22-year-olds. At the same time, they're not pulling off like the flashback element of the costuming and wardrobe, I would say.
Well, except that Erin Krakow has a butterfly clip in her hair as a grad student, presumably about 10 years ago in 2015.
Is that not what people were rocking?
It's not.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It was very funny because I feel like they did a lot to sort of make her seem like a younger version of herself, and they did not do anything to make him seem like a younger version. He almost seemed older than he was.
This is true, but I will say, like, grad school Ella, I would say had some real game. Like, I think she's the reason why, like, you start to feel a genuine connection between these two people.
It's really hard to make heads or tails of how Ella Neezer, other than being named that by her parents, became this person. When we find her in grad school in the past, she's warm, she's charming, she's got big dreams that she knows are a little bit, centered on the man, but that's what a gal's got to do. And then his ass, I had some issues with Jake. In the grad school, she's like, yeah, I want to start like a kind of luxury travel company to help people travel. It's kind of embarrassing. He's like, that's not embarrassing. I want to start a charity to help children. Okay.
If that's what you want to do, power to you. You want to start a charity, especially to help at-risk youth. Yeah. We're all in favor of that. I would argue you probably don't need an MBA to do it. And so why you're paying for grad school and subsidizing it by working as a late-night librarian, like, unless McKinsey changed its mission statement, I just don't understand what you're doing here.
You probably don't have to have a business degree. You should have a plan. And what we find him doing is getting a business degree with no plan.
No plan.
He's like, I know I want to do this thing, but that's the thing is that we know they dated for 6 years and they started dating, we know that they've been broken up for 6 years. We don't know how long they dated, but I want to say 5 or 6 years. So we're dealing with kind of like a 10 to 12 year ramp up period. These people are very successful. She is in the 6 years since they've broken up.
Yes.
She has branched off from her mentor, Marlene, who we'll get to, and created an entire company that has like office space in Times Square.
A huge imprint on this floor, a gigantic staff that are all at her beck and call, even though they despise her. But this is not an operation you get just like up and going overnight, especially for an idea that is basically like, what if we made kayak again?
And it does. And you can make kayak again as the thing, and it can be hugely successful, but you got to have a couple ping pong tables in your office. It's like, that's running on lifestyle. That's running on inspiration of vision. They are in like the most traditional, stuffy. This does not look like a startup that's really hit it off.
No. This is where the Miranda Priestley comp really comes in. Like, this is like an old, stuffy, like old world magazine layout, and it is just not that kind of business ultimately in terms of what they're trying to do. Then again, if you're running a travel agency in 2025, maybe that is what you're trying to do.
And I don't know. She learned a lot in grad school, even though she was distracted by love. And that is one of the big messages of this movie, is that love is distracting and it will not it will not help you succeed in business.
You cannot have it all, it turns out.
Yeah, oh, no. Well, he can, but she can't, obviously.
Well, sure. That goes without saying.
Obviously. She gets on this plane. I also was like, how's he in first class? The entire premise of this movie that I thought when I, scouted it in the 100 plus movies coming out this year, pitched it to you, I thought it was going to be kind of like a non-scary version of that Rachel McAdams movie, Red Eye.
Yes.
I thought they were going to get stuck in the air for some reason, or that it was going to be just more about them having to spend a lot of time together. But it's not. They actually spend very little time together. She spends most of her time with ghosts.
I mean, that is the story. They do spend a fair amount of time together in the coach bathroom, which is the size of a studio apartment.
Everything is the size of a studio apartment. Everything's the exact same size, whether that size should be bigger or smaller.
Yes.
The first class carriage is just laid out like a boardroom. There is nothing luxurious about it except for the space.
Yes. And it really hits you when she is having plane anxiety on takeoff and has to reach over a gigantic aisle to grab his arm by accident. And he's 15 feet away from her. And so she is lunging for his arm.
She has to use her
instinct.
obliques to get over to him to clutch his arm. I think it really hit me, the strangeness of that space, when Oliver, the small precocious child of which there are many in this movie, saddles up to a podium. It's like there's a really prominent podium in this first class area of the plane.
They really have everything you could ever need. They've got snacks. They've got champagne. You can double fist if you so choose. Obviously, full meal service. And then we got spoken word poetry coming over the intercom. We have copious Christmas decorations, of course. There's just a lot happening up there.
Because what Ella Neezer did not see coming about flying on Christmas is that the lovely staff of, what was the airline that it was like Sydney Airlines.
Yes.
that she was flying, obviously, really are going above and beyond to make this a merry time for everyone.
They are.
And
Jodi, may I Scrooge for a second?
Of course.
A flight attendant or flight staff with a bit? Simply not.
It's really tough.
I don't care if it's seasonal. You can just always tell when they have this is the thing I say over the intercom that just kills every time with a third of the people on this plane. And it makes me miserable every time they do it. I know these people are just trying to get through their day. I simply don't want it for me in my life, basically ever. And
if they're doing it on the mic, you can deal with the discomfort of that in the discomfort of your own seat.
Yes.
But if they, like this flight attendant, are putting their face directly into your face to sing a Christmas carol, I also would have been throwing him out of the emergency exit if I may Ella Neezer for a moment.
Oh, yeah. Eject this guy post haste, please.
There are lots of frustrating things happening to Ella on that plane. That doesn't really excuse that she is kind of a dick. I mean, she is really...
Look, there's no two ways around it.
She's really a mean person who you were very charmed by. I think that ultimately you felt a little more warmth towards this lead than I did, which I'm glad to hear, because I remember you really hated the gal in the dog movie last year.
See, I felt like the girl bosses we encountered last year just were not this engaging, and I think honestly part of it is just when Ella Neezer is being mean or uppity, when she pops back into the bathroom and is like, ooh, am I in coach?
Yes.
There's just, it's funny enough and light enough that I'm just along for the ride, versus if you're just kind of, I will say somewhat respectfully, but also not, of many of these Hallmark and Lifetime movies, the leads are usually two wooden boards they're trying to mush together. Just give me a little charisma and I will think more highly of your characters.
And we have charisma in spades here. For me, the funniest scene is when ultimately we discover that this is going to be a ghostly experience. Who's dead? Literally everybody. Everybody's dead in this movie. Almost, I would say, half of the leads or co-leads are dead.
Well, spoiler alert, we all are going to die. It's just a matter of how far into the future we want to forecast these Christmas visions.
That's right, because they make the choice to make the ghost of Christmas future silent. And so we actually don't know when he's showing her that she will be dead. I was kind of you are going to die. And part of maybe the problem for the lead role for me is that she ultimately seems really motivated to change by the fact that she will die, and only a little bit motivated to change by the fact that Tiny Tim will die in under a year.
Look, I think she is a little broken up.
Is this
by
your
it.
queen?
I think by the end of the movie, she is. At the beginning, not so much, chewing out her staff. I can't support it, even though they do kind of suck. But she gets there in the end. And the biggest laugh line for me is when she does finally come through in the end. And she's telling Bobby, I'm going to give you a raise. I'm going to give you new health care so you can support Tim. And Bobby responds, you remember who Tim is? And I was cackling on my couch. Again, this movie just was pressing all the right buttons for me. I don't know how to explain it.
The real laugh moments for me came with Marlene, her dead mentor.
Yep.
We find out earlier on because sweet, sweet Bobby has gotten Ella a Christmas present, and it is an inexplicable photo of Ella with Marlene. There's a lot of framed photography in this movie, each picture worse than the next.
The selfie technique is bad, but it is also canonically from a random guy who wants to work in charity. So it's like, okay, I believe that maybe this guy doesn't have the best technique.
But does that guy have a film crew following him? Because very clearly all of those photos were taken by someone else. These are not selfies.
Not
they're really
even for a
far
moment.
away, and they're not looking in the camera. They're all candid selfies.
Yes.
We see this photo of Marlene early on, and we find out that she is Ella's former mentor, and she has died. And so when she appears on the little TV screen in Sydney Airlines' very outdated plane, we know something's up.
Oh, yeah.
This
That
is a
was what
ghost.
tipped you off, you think?
Yeah, that's what told me something was up. I found Ella's learning curve around figuring out that something was up pretty hilarious. There are several times early on where it's like, babe, you got to get with the program. Ghosts are visiting you to teach you life lessons.
Straight up, like, this is my question, is this woman not familiar with A Christmas Carol? Because obviously, if you're adapting with actual Ebenezer Scrooge, yeah, he's never read the book because it hasn't been written yet. This woman is living in the library. Like, she is a careerist. Maybe she's granted more on the business side than the literary side, but is she not even familiar with the beats?
Rob, it's a great question, but I actually think you do have to assume that in this world, it doesn't exist. Because her name is Ella Neezer.
And no one's
pointing it out. They're not just not pointing it out. They're going so far as to call her a different Scrooge-based nickname. They call her Krampus.
They do call her Krampus.
The horned Christmas beast.
There are a lot of bah humbug jokes, including made by other people, but it seems like in response to her, that being kind of her catchphrase as is customary.
Right, it's just what she says. She doesn't say it as a reference point. It is just something that she says in her family, maybe.
I know you mentioned, her mother and father have named her this, and the parents are kind of mysteriously absent. We don't know what happened to them, just her and her sister. Do you read it as nominative determinism that they named her Ella Neezer and she became this kind of Scrooge?
No, most of the Scrooginess seems love-based, although I wouldn't say that they don't go so far as to tie it like really directly to them breaking up on Christmas Eve. We find out pretty early on when she sees Jake and she says, wow, how long has it been? 5 years? And he says, no, it's been exactly 6 years today, you bitch.
But she was trying to play it cool,
do you not remember that you broke my heart on Christmas Eve? A crazy thing to do.
In an overwhelmingly casual way. Like, she barely looked up from her Excel spreadsheet to break up, to end their engagement on Christmas Eve.
Rob, she took the ring off. She did a physical bit to break up with him. What she's saying is not even like, I don't think this is working. She's just kind of like, I'm really busy. And then she takes the ring off that he presented to her on Christmas Eve again. Yep. So she also breaks up on the anniversary of their engagement on a gingerbread house.
How did you feel about the gingerbread house?
Disgusting, because he puts it on the gingerbread house and then he puts it on her finger, and we don't see any evidence that he's cleaned the icing off.
Oh no, that thing is just a sugary, sticky mess.
He puts it into wet icing because we see it stick on the house. I didn't love it, but all of this to say that she did not seem to be any bit of a Scrooge when she and her butterfly clip met him in grad school. Then they have many lovely Christmases together.
it seems to be like her thing and their thing. Like they have all these traditions with their friends. They go to the dive bar on Christmas. They really have it all figured out for a minute until ambition rears its ugly head. You know, the opportunities afforded by capitalism and the drive to not only be the best, but to put everything else second before you're a career as basically an assistant to this other woman. It's
Which,
tough
of
to
course,
watch.
he can do. She cannot. It will ruin the family, unfortunately. And she did have ambition, the worst thing that she can have.
Yep.
And she, in that time, we see in the Ghost of Christmas Past part, that's when she meets her mentor, begins sort of assisting her. But Marlene really takes her under her wing. And the first lesson she tells her is that as a woman, you will have to work twice as hard and you cannot have personal relationships.
I think this movie actually has some pretty cold truths that are kind of real, that are like hitting in a very real place. And some of that is, you know, not just the cycles of abuse in a workplace, but of girl bossery specifically, right? This idea of having a mentor protege situation. And then when Ella Neezer tries to repeat it yourself, as you mentioned, Jodi, with Bobby, she's not treating her like a protege at all. She's just treating her like a gopher. And so
she has brought the ladder right back up.
Completely.
She's not offering that. Of course, she's also not ruining Bobby's life in the way of giving her this worldview that will make her, I guess, abandon her son is what would have happened in that situation.
So we get to a healthier place in the end, but like that was the path we were all going down, is an empty chair and an empty table for Tiny Tim.
But it's a little unclear the healthy place we get to, because if she's ultimately deciding like, oh, I can do better, now she's going to throw the company a Christmas party and they are going to financially go under, just like she was afraid of.
But honestly, that is a healthier worldview, is, you know what? If ultimately this drives our company to financial ruin in the long game, let's all just enjoy our time. And most importantly, enjoy our time together with the people who matter with us.
And Rob, that's why we're podcasters.
This is what it's all about, you know?
This is why they put us on the mics and not in the boardroom.
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
That's true.
Ultimately, I think most companies should be.
I totally agree. Marlene finds herself dead with nothing and no one. And she has been doomed to live inside an airplane safety video, watching people like Ella play out the same mistakes that she has made over the years.
This is her version of hell.
Yeah.
And it's insane. And honestly,
she's on the River Styx, baby.
she's riding the River Styx straight through the airwaves. But ultimately, like the visual bit of her, instead of being clad in chains, like in A Christmas Carol, being in the seatbelts, again, it's just like they have a riff for everything in this story that really delighted me.
The Marlene bit really hit for me. And I don't know if like the writer, if that was just them really in their wheelhouse. But when Marlene's like, you know, she's like, ignore the seatbelts. That's the least of your worries. And then she says, yes, I'm in polyester. Like, something I wouldn't be caught dead in even when I'm dead. That was pretty good for me. Also, when Ella says there must be something weird about this champagne because of how she's seeing dead people, and dead Marlene in the screen says, yeah, that's because it's Prosecco. I was like, okay.
Shots fired. Most of the like airline based humor, I found to be really effective. Like the woman and Coach eating sardines out of the can, everything with the safety video that we already talked about, Ella screaming, "I'm experiencing a sudden loss of cabin pressure" as she gets pulled into a flashback out the escape hatch. I just think they really nailed the tone of this movie, and the sandbox of the plane, I would say, was fully explored.
Yes, the Ghost of Christmas Past has a lot of good extended sort of airplane jokes about, you know, keeping your arms and legs inside the vehicle.
She might be the MVP of the movie for me. Faith Wright, who's playing that part, is so funny on those deliveries. This was my favorite part of the movie overall.
I only wished that she'd had more to do. Like, I would have liked to have, because she is giving she's a flight attendant. They each have a different thing. The Ghost of Christmas Present is a pilot. And the Ghost of Christmas Future is an air marshal.
An air marshal.
A silent air marshal.
I want to skip, don't even think about giving this movie an Oscar. Don't even think about giving it a Pulitzer. Just give it the Nobel Peace Prize as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. It really does establish peace when Ella says to the Ghost of Christmas Past, "Do you know who I am?" And she says, "Yes, Ella Neezer, Grind Culture Queen CEO of Great Expectations Trips."
That's one of those things where if you knew somebody who was dubbed the Grind Culture Queen of New York, you would never let them hear the end of it. I would only refer to that person by that title for the rest of their life.
Well, I have dubbed you the Grind Culture King of the Ringer, and it will be catching on. This is where we learn in The Ghost of Christmas Past about there's been kind of an extended bit where Ella is demanding that Bobby finds her ruby scarf.
Yeah.
And Bobby can't find it. I need to address a few things. One, that scarf is not ruby. When we ultimately see it, that apparently it is meaningful to her, even though Ella says, things don't mean anything to me. Which I admit, as someone with parents who really can have nostalgia around things, sometimes my revolt is things don't mean anything to me. But they do. And this thing means something to her because Jake gave her the, not ruby, the rorange scarf. When I ultimately saw the reveal of this rinky-dink, this scarf is made of felt. It is tiny. It would provide no warmth.
It's not about the literal warmth. It's about the warmth of the soul.
You know how I know it's not about the warmth?
Are you so heartless, Jodi, that this scarf means nothing to you?
This scarf means nothing to me. He wrapped it around the outside of her coat. That doesn't do anything.
See, sometimes it's just about the gesture. It's not about the thing. It's about who it belonged to. And it's the reason why all these years later, even after dumping this guy on Christmas Eve, she's like, where's my ruby/not ruby scarf?
And we'll get to it because I guess it's somewhere in the ether. And that does bring me to sort of the corporeal permanence of the states that she goes into when she goes off with the ghost. When she goes with the Ghost of Christmas Past, they go out the emergency exit and into the skies.
Yes.
And when she returns after we see, it's a long trip through the past. We see... what's the first? We see her at her boarding school.
Yeah, her as a child.
Where her, I guess, also rich parents have dropped her off, and she spends all of Christmas, and they just have her coloring alone in a classroom. We see her in grad school meeting Jake. We see her at a Christmas party of a place where she interned with a great boss, and that company goes under.
Yes, and a Christmas party, I will say, given the steamy relationship that these two leads have, they are just full on making out on the dance floor of this Christmas party. They are getting after it.
They are making out, and then they are staring into each other's eyes like they've never made out before. These two were so in love.
Truly.
What happened?
That's what heightens the tragedy. That's what really, the stakes are what they are, which is Ella's immortal soul is really on the line here. But also the love feels like an equal counterweight, I gotta say.
Oh, it really is. It does. And these two have never gotten over each other.
No.
We really learn in The Ghost of Christmas Present Time, which I have some small quibbles with because we do sort of visit everyone on Christmas Eve, which does feel like the past at this point. But we see the current state of Jake, which is, running the most famous children's charity in the tri-state area. But everyone is just really worried about that he's never moved on from Ella, the meanest woman in the world.
I mean, Lucy's really worried about it. She's trying to fix the problem.
Oh, she's trying to feel that bicep is what she's doing.
Did not let go for a solid 45 seconds.
Some
just
gingerly arm
on.
touches. But then Tyler Hynes, bad boy of Hallmark, also then puts his hand over her hand. I was like, okay, I see where she got the idea that he might be interested.
That was confusing, especially when it seems like afterwards he's not interested, right? He keeps expressing that he's not ready to move on, that maybe he doesn't want to go to this lunch, but that hand contact wasn't nothing.
Oh, it wasn't nothing. And he's like, I'll see you when I get back from this other trip that's about to change my life. But we really find out that he hasn't moved on. My other favorite thing about the Ghost of Christmas Present section is that everyone is toasting to her. We see his present. We see her sister's present.
Yep.
And we see Bobby's family that is going on without her, that Christmas party. And Ella's brother-in-law, or sister's husband, raises a sort of like sarcastic toast.
Yes.
Well, first he's mean, then he raises kind of a nice toast, but all of the toasts are literally like, man, I hope that girl's okay. Her life sucks.
I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but me and everyone else at the company are constantly toasting to you when you're not around. Sometimes genuinely, sometimes sarcastically. It really depends on the occasion, but we're just constantly raising glasses to you anytime we're together.
Totally. You're like, cheers to Jodi. She seems frazzled.
I would never say such a thing, but I would raise my glass if somebody else said it.
I hope that gal gets it together.
I did have questions about the sisters' Christmas get-together because, again, not to jump ahead too far, by the end of the movie, we are emergency landing in Salt Lake City, which is apparently close to where her sister lives just by pure coincidence.
Oh, that's not coincidence, Rob. That's Christmas magic.
That's Christmas magic. You're absolutely right.
That's the magic of the ruby scarf.
I rescind the implication with all due credit to the scarf. I just assumed from their earlier conversation on the phone and this toast of like, why didn't your sister show up, that this was like upstate or something. This was in the Amtrak corridor. But they're like, oh no, your sister didn't fly from JFK to Salt Lake City. What a bitch.
Right. And like, we've known she wasn't coming. This isn't like I'm not going to make it this year.
No.
I don't think she ever indicated that she would be coming. Also, it kind of seems like she's having a hard time. Maybe you guys should go to her.
It seems entirely... Her sister says, we haven't celebrated a single Christmas together since you broke up with Jake. That is bad sistering. Like, you have failed in your responsibilities as a sister if that is the case.
Because I know there are a couple other youngest children out there who know what it's like to be the non-married sibling who's like always, sleeping on the trundle bed and like nobody's ever coming to you. You're always going to them. Hey, other Miss Neezer, whatever your name is. What if you took an old trip to New York City? Great place to be at Christmas time.
Yeah, Christmas in New York. Who would ever want such a thing?
Can you imagine the penthouse apartment that Ella lives in? The cold, barely furnished penthouse apartment? I bet it's gorgeous.
100% rental furniture. It's sub 55 degrees in there because if she's not heating up her employees, why would she bother to do it for herself?
Well, and her blood is made of ice, so it doesn't really matter. She can't feel it. I was glad that ultimately when she sees the sisters, she's not that nice to the brother-in-law who she saw being pretty mean about her.
Straight up.
Even though he apologized. And of course, the other toast comes from little tiny Tim, who at the table that he will be gone from this mortal coil if she does not change her behavior, at this Christmas table, when they go around to give their gratitudes, says that he is grateful for Miss Neezer. And Bobby's mom is like, you don't have to do that. Actually, you don't have to do that.
Not necessary. But what a sweet kid. Like, Tiny Tim, again, this is the role he plays in this story, but like, I don't hear him say a word about a Christmas present. Like, all he cares about is, can I celebrate Christmas with my poor abused mother who has been dragged to Sydney, Australia?
Well, and can I get my medicine that makes me feel better, which is kind of like a pretty sad moment.
Sasha, a lot of commentary here about the state of the insurance industry, about the forces of capitalism in all of our lives.
Our producer, Sasha, has called Tiny Tim a bootlicker because what he ultimately says is that he is grateful for Miss Neezer, who gives his mommy a job so that she can get medicine for him to make him feel better. And I do feel for him that as a child, he has to understand how our world works. And yet here we are. And so they raise a toast to Miss Neezer, who is about to learn from the ghost of Christmas future what will happen if she doesn't change her ways. And it's that death comes for us all.
It really does. It's inevitable. And when it does happen, all we can hope for is that there will be no one squabbling over our ergonomic chair and wondering what it's actually built from.
People are stealing her shit in the office. That's a big thing, is that when she dies, it takes her a really long time to catch on that she's died. I'm like,
lady,
they're planning your funeral. Can you not hear them?
Apparently not. Like she just kind of tunes out on all of the relevant details that would tell her, yeah, this is definitely you and you are definitely dead.
And what's funny is that, like, yes, she doesn't want to die. She doesn't want Tiny Tim to die. But the thing that actually seems to like get her empathy going the most, gets her to be like, wow, I have to change so that other people's future are not affected by me, is that she sees Jake become a librarian.
She does.
For some reason, his future pivots from, charity grind king of the New Jersey corridor to librarian, which doesn't seem like a bad ending. He also looks really hot. He's like walking out of the library in the rain, and she's like, oh no, Jake's a librarian?
See, I would actually posit too hot. Like, he shows up to her funeral in an open collar black shirt, smoldering. And it's like,
absolutely. It's sort of like sateen. It's like his clothes are very shiny.
He's in club wear to go to his ex-fiance's funeral.
Well, I do believe that also in Tyler Hynes' contract is he's like, I will do one Christmas thing, but ultimately I need to be wearing all black at some point. And they got it
off. Like, I'm not mad about it. I understand why he would fight for that right. I'm just saying maybe this is not the time nor the place.
And all these homes in which they've just given like mean derogatory toasts towards Ella, when Jake shows up, everyone's like, Jake, we love Jake.
They love Jake so much. Everyone is very rude. Like, I understand she hasn't earned any charity, but like, the woman just died. Like, can't we say one nice thing?
And yet, it's true. Like, her sister holds a lot of grace for her.
Yes.
Even though she lets her mean husband run his mouth. And Jake always holds a lot of grace for her. He never falls out of love with her. And when she ultimately lands back in the coach lavatory after her final trip to with the Ghost of Christmas Future, she is so grateful to find herself alive. She's so happy. She comes back out into the plane in what I can only describe as a manic episode. And he has no questions.
No. Well, frankly, he's seen this before. Like, I mean,
right.
let's all be honest about it.
He hops right back on board. When she comes back out of the lavatory, the plane has landed. I guess we are to understand that when she's going on these trips, she is away from her seat and in the bathroom the whole time.
Yeah, corporeally, I don't know where she is supposed to be.
I don't know where she is in time and space. I don't think she's asleep in her seat. It seems like she's always in the bathroom. When she comes back out, she's been in there long enough that the plane has landed in Utah.
Yes.
Something has happened. They have to land the plane, and she comes out a completely different person. We are dealing with grad school level Ella. She is happy to be alive. She is still in love with Jake, and she comes out. She asks to take him to breakfast. And then she does a couple things in quick order. She speaks to a Sydney Airlines representative at the Salt Lake City airport who helps her arrange to get everyone a hotel room in a luxury resort. These are the kinds of connections she has.
Yeah, is that a connection or is that out of pocket, do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. She gets those travel agency rates. It's also out of pocket, which to me, I'm like, okay, you're saving the airline money. Is this how we want to turn it around for corporate America?
Like, I don't want to burden the airline with the expectation that it will actually do anything to put up these people in a hotel, because historically that's not always been the case. But it is what they're supposed to do if you're going to delay people overnight, especially on Christmas.
She's like, listen, I'm not going to completely unsubscribe from capitalism. I'm still Forbes' number one girl boss. Then she gives. Okay. Do you want to know when I cried?
I would love to hear it.
It's when...
Unburden your soul for us, Jodi, please.
It's when she reveals to Bobby that not only is she going to double her salary, give her actual decent health insurance, but she's already booked her a ticket to get back to Tiny Tim to spend Christmas with him. And what's so crazy about me crying in that moment, and I continue to amaze myself, is I was so mad at her not 10 seconds before, because she does this thing where she fakes Bobby out.
She does.
She pretends to have her old personality, and she's like, why am I still sitting here? Like, if all of your ideas are so great, why haven't we booked a flight yet? I'm like, why is she doing this?
Well, the ultimate way to express merriment is a little fun and games. You have to have a little deception, or else what's even the point? It's very reindeer-like
behavior from her in the final moment of the film.
I think that is a huge part of it. But look, these ending notes are not without their genuine points of grace. Like, I thought this line about, like, if you don't need anyone, you don't have anyone. I was like, man, this actually is like pretty heavy stuff for a Hallmark movie.
I totally agree. I like to say, what was the meaning of Christmas according to the film? And I think it was this: if you don't need anyone, you won't have anyone, because everyone actually does need someone. And when you are convincing yourself that you don't, that is, you are living a lie, and you will be visited by 3 ghosts on an airplane that looks like a boardroom.
I mean, may we all be so lucky. I would love to have this kind of revelation about my life and all the mistakes that I've made while on a flight somewhere. But instead, I'm just like, can I just watch Little Women again on the in-flight entertainment and just try to get through this thing alive?
Yeah, I think like the only thing I'd be interested to know if visited by like the ghost of Christmas past is like every person who's ever had a crush on me.
Sure.
And then other than that, the mistakes have been made.
They've been made. But this is proof that you can undo them. You know, you can still find whatever your metaphorical Jake is in any aspect of your life. Like, you can still get it back.
You can undo them so quickly, Rob. Like, it's no problem. She takes Jake to breakfast and she's like, I made a big mistake. I'm so sorry for working so hard. I'd love to have you back. And he says, okay. He twirls her around that diner. They kiss and they say, I love you. He says, I love you. She says, I love you too. They're back in love. I would be asking you a few more clarifying questions, I think.
He even mentions, like, you weren't like this 6 hours ago. Like, what happened? And this is where you start to really get concerned for this person's mental state when they have had this dramatic a personality flip. I'd be entertaining all kinds of possibilities. Like, is this a ghost who is, somehow now inhabiting this person? Are they having like as you said, a manic episode coming out and just all of a sudden are a totally different human being? How could you trust that their love is authentic and real, even if you knew it to be 6 or 7 years ago?
She just she completely has a personality transplant, because also then she's like, we're in Utah, we can go to my sister's house. And he's like, me too? Like, should we call? And she was like, no, let's make it a surprise.
Again, she just loves to show up and surprise people and play these little games now.
These little reindeer games. And they show up with presents. Somewhere between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. on Christmas morning, they have found and wrapped presents.
Beautifully wrapped.
Gorgeous. They give she has nieces and nephews that we just never even hear about. Gives them like an FAO Schwartz teddy bear. There is some evidence of Santa within this film that we don't ultimately see. And this is, of course, when the ruby red scarf that is not ruby red returns in its magic state. Something, again, that Jake has no questions about.
No.
He pulls it out.
Just pop back up.
She pulls it out. He's like, you have the scarf? And she says, it's been missing. I have no idea where it's been. I don't know how it turned up. And he's like, guess it's magic.
But wouldn't she say that rather than admit, while I have been girl bossing for 6 straight years, I have been harboring this secret love for you and carrying this scarf as like my most prized possession, while being loath to explain to anyone in my life what it actually represents?
I don't know. I think that's the thing. That's the kind of vulnerable thing that you have to admit once your whole life has changed in a coach bathroom on Sydney Airlines.
Let's just take it step by step. Like, the woman has her walls put up. She has mounted one of them and made this huge emotional gesture. But this stuff is going to take time. The deprogramming that Ella Neezer is going to need to go through is extensive.
I know, but no one knows why, because we do go through her past, present, and future. But even when the brother-in-law is giving the mean toast and the sister is standing up for her, she's like, listen, Ella has built up walls. We have no idea why, but we just have to love her. It's like, could someone, maybe a professional third party, maybe try to figure this out a little bit?
This is the trick of modern life, though, is there's all these things that we think we want, and we sell out other aspects of our lives to get them. And even we don't fully understand them. Why would we expect your brother-in-law to get it? Like, he's just sitting off to the side, casting aspersions. Honestly, that guy's like the biggest dick in the entire movie.
He was absolutely casting aspersions. A great call.
Completely unnecessary, everything that he says, and frankly, not your place. If her sister wants to say that, by all means, you don't get to say that.
The men in this movie hate her. There's also that grad school friend who's like at the dive bar thing, and he's like, He's like, oh, yeah, well, I hope she's lonely after what she did to you, this ambitious woman. The worst thing you can be.
as is canonically established in not just this movie, but all of these movies.
But luckily, she softened her edges, so now we can accept her. And Bobby calls her on the phone with little tiny Tim, and they wish Miss Neezer a Merry Christmas. And Rob, I honestly, after watching the film, could not believe it. I did not see it coming when he hits us with the tiny little voice. God bless us, everyone.
I just want to thank everyone involved. That wasn't the moment that got me, but it might as well have. Because honestly, all the Tiny Tim stuff in general usually gets me pretty hard. You know, the future in which he has died, the gradual descent into the depths of asthma-related illnesses.
Yes.
All of this stuff really does pull at my heartstrings for some reason. And so I knew someone had to say God bless us everyone. And if it wasn't Tiny Tim, that would be an injustice. So I'm glad our little guy got his moment.
It's true. You really get it now, Rob. It's like the performances do not have to be there. The mechanics of the magic do not have to be there. The
Definitely
plot simply has to do what it does.
We are on a track, or in this case, under air traffic control. You know, we are from point A to point B. Yep. There is one bit of engine trouble where we need to divert and have an unexpected outcome. But even then, it really just takes us where we were always meant to go, Jodi.
And here we are. God bless us, everyone. God bless you, Rob Mahoney. Thank you for joining me back on Bingemas.
Come on.
Next year, you're getting another bad one because we did a good thing this year.
Look, this is only fair. I look forward to the bad ones too. And just based on this trend, it will also be about the horrors of capitalism because all of these movies truly are.
And it will come up with absolutely no solutions except that we further fray ourselves.
What else do we have?
Merry Bingemas.
Merry Bingemas, Jodi. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Ashleigh. Thank you, Belle. Follow We're Obsessed Pod on Instagram for updates on what movies they're coming up so you can watch along if you want to. Watch us on Ringer TV YouTube. Watch us on Spotify. And we will see you back here for the next day of Bingemas. Bye.